Hello everybody and welcome back to another one of those videos where I talk about updates on Dwarf Fortress coming from Toady1 and KitFox. Dwarf Fortress is now 20 years old. There is a patch to celebrate, and there was an awesome stream that took place on KitFox's YouTube channel, which included Zach and Tarn playing Dwarf Fortress, the very first ever publicly released version of the game, as well as proof that yours truly is now an award-winning YouTuber, but more on that later. First, let's get into the patch. First off, we are greeted with the standard introduction, which states that myth and magic work is very much still underway, and teases this image, which is probably going to be the new splash screen image for the main menu of the video game. It also states that there will be a live build at Gamescom that we will be able to watch online, so keep an eye out for the end of the month for some actual myths and magic gameplay. Alongside of that is a brand new piece of music, which you are hearing in the background of this video, written by Simon and Dabu, and it's titled Myths and Magic. But as for the patch itself that released on the anniversary, it's a standard quality of life patch. Some surface level changes is that the extinct creatures have been rebalanced, which means my next video project is going to be covering stuff that has been patched, which is kind of funny for me. So yeah, dinosaurs are now going to be able to grow at more reasonable speeds, and the Tyrannosaurus man should be able to bite once more. But let's dive into the patch notes. Apparently there was an issue with unicorns not appearing because the first thing in the patch notes is fanciful but existent creatures like unicorns appear again and have their materials tracked. This also caused some issues with zombies coming back to life and dying immediately because of their rotted state. I had some weird issues with certain zombies becoming adults and then children and then adults and then children. I think that might have been just a weird situation that I was in, but maybe this fixes that? I don't know. There was some weird things going on with certain creatures that weren't normal, so hopefully that fixes it. Tavern goers will no longer order a drink from every single tavern keeper in the bar and drink them all, causing them to die of alcohol poisoning. Now, I do want to put one finger up for a second here and say, while this wouldn't always kill dwarves, it was very likely to kill a human or an elven visitor. I had no idea that this was happening and generally wouldn't use more than one tavern keeper anyway, but I've since tested taverns with about a dozen tavern keepers and had no real issues. Tavern keepers will also now refuse orders for drinks if the one ordering it is sufficiently drunk, assuming the tavern keeper's personality allows. The game will also give you notifications if tavern keepers are sneaking extra drinks to overly intoxicated dwarves, which I think is kind of neat. It basically tells you that maybe you should appoint a dwarf that is less willing to give alcohol to very drunk dwarves. Dwarves will exercise self-control and not order alcohol from tavern keepers when drunk, if their personality allows, which is the inverse of this. Some dwarves will still try to get more drinks if they desperately want some more. Saves can now be sorted by most recently played. This might be the greatest, or one of the greatest things in this patch. It's lovely. On the main menu, it works exactly as advertised. Ordered potential memorial slab engraving jobs by urgency and added some coloration. This is my other highlight from this patch. When you actually look at the slab engraving menu now, ghosts are at the top, unengraved items are at the right below, engraved but not memorialized items are right beneath that, and then the rest is history. You just go place your engraved slabs to get rid of your ghosts. So nice. Visitors should no longer steal Fortress Library books and other Fortress items. Disabled be with family until isolated residents have ways to visit or be visited by or contact distant family. This one I am very mixed on. I kind of liked the idea of dwarves being lonely, needing extra attention in order to stay happy, but at the same time, I do hope that there is a remedy for this and this feature can come back. It's weird that they decided to disable it after so long, but at the same time, hopefully there's something coming down the pike for it. Added confirmation for changing or cleaning hotkey recenter locations. It's exactly the same as disabling or destroying a squad right now. It just gives you a little, are you sure? Option. Added various missing attacks to the extinct creature people. Changed growth rates for various extinct creatures. Changed egg size and clutch size for various extinct creatures, meaning you're not going to get 40 dinosaurs that will be full size in a year anymore, which is good and bad. I'm going to miss that, but it makes more sense now. Stopped caravans from bringing food when it wasn't needed due to seed and drink overcounting. Strengthened effect of unconditional surrender, and stopped player messengers from being given conflicting diplomacy goals such as declaring war and making peace. You were able to assign more than one goal at once for your messenger, and you could in fact tell them to declare war and make peace, which I assume would cause problems. I never actually tried it. Stops dwarves from being trapped in a guild hall skill demonstration when they have unmet social needs. This one is quietly awesome. I have in fact noticed more dwarves behaving as you would expect and traveling around the map as they should, instead of, well, getting stuck in the guild hall. Strange Mood dwarves will no longer make equipment types from outside of their civilization. This one I'm very, very mixed on. I understand why this would happen. Like, it will stop your dwarves from making equipment types that your dwarves can't physically use. Things like great picks or great swords. However, I will miss dearly the days of being able to get an artifact whip, or an artifact dagger, or alternatively, an artifact scarf or cape. Items that dwarves don't normally have access to that suddenly appear and you have one of high value. I very much will miss this. I really hope that there's some sort of change or remedy to this, making artifacts more unique again, because as it sits for a little while, they're going to be less interesting. Fixed a broken XML export for historical negotiation events. I need to test this. I'm wondering if it has fixed Legends Viewer. I need to look into that. Wilderness creature type number further depends on the size of each region. Clicking on the stockpile button will now just simply open the make new stockpile option instead of forcing you to click on a second button to do so when there was only one other button there. So essentially they've removed a click. Gave recenter information to building destruction and toppling announcements. So if a dwarf tantrums and breaks instead of just saying building toppled, it'll say carpentry shop was toppled and you can recenter to it. Awesome. Stopped tantruming dwarves and others from targeting farm plots for destruction. Thank you. Announcement and report recenter buttons should properly close their menus again. Added a description to the top of the burrow menu. And then lastly, we have a few graphical updates. Procedural weapons and armor and images appear, and procedural weapons appear when held. Worn armor will come later. Honestly, massive improvement regardless. Stone short swords now look like stone short swords instead of weird black metal swords. They made skill blocks of administrator candidates easier to parse. Basically, it's just better spacing of text. They improved the display of game load and world gen errors. Quern and Millstone cursors appear properly when placing them, so they're now no longer invisible. And cauldrons are now properly displayed in Night Troll layers. And that brings us to the end of the patch notes. Honestly, this is a pretty solid quality of life update. There's a lot of really little things in here that I think add up to kind of a very good stability patch for the most part, and I'm really happy to see a lot of the things that are coming in. The next thing I wanted to talk about with this period of time in Dwarf Fortress history is the big stream that Zach and Tarn did. I'll link it in the description of this video and probably in the pinned comment. The VOD itself includes Tanya Short and Alexandra of Kit Fox talking about Dwarf Fortress, as well as just their role in publishing it, followed by a lovely segment of Zach and Tarn playing the original build of Dwarf Fortress, which I highly recommend you go watch. It is quite charming seeing them nerd out and be all nostalgic for their own video game. And watching them be surprised about how advanced the game was back then, it's just such a wholesome experience all around. I highly recommend watching it. Later on in the stream, they also gave out some awards to various people and individuals that took part in the Dwarf Fortress community over the years. And I would just like to highlight that DF Hack is now an award-winning piece of software, and I am now an award-winning YouTuber, and so is Krug Smash. I don't know what you need to do with that information, but that is the life I live now. Lastly, I just wanted to mention for any of you who maybe missed the memo on this, I am currently working for Kit Fox. I will be working for Kit Fox until October. I'm helping them run their social media accounts. I'm also helping them edit videos and shorts and things. I don't have a ton of information all of a sudden to leak, unfortunately, but what I can say is I just wanted to make you all aware that that is a thing that's happening. It's only 10 hours a week, so if videos seem a little bit slower, I needed a weekend, I'm sorry. Final thing I want to mention before I wrap this up is that there's a really interesting plugin right now for DF Hack. It's called Smooth Movement. I made a video of it a few days ago. Essentially what this does when loaded into DF Hack and launched is it allows dwarves to smoothly slide from tile to tile. And most recently it also added a feature allowing dwarves to reverse direction, flipping the sprites when they are walking in the opposite direction. It's a very neat little plugin, and I think I'm going to use it for my next playthrough, just to see what people think. I think it's coming along very quickly, and it's been exciting to see the project gain a few more contributors. I've already seen talk about it maybe getting integrated into DF Hack properly, and I do think that this would be a really cool thing to have. It's reconfirmed to me that this is something that I would really like the developers of the game to focus on at some point. even if it takes time to implement officially. Ideally, it would have a toggle so you could enable it or disable it, but I do think this is something that would appeal to people who are used to more modern interpretations of Dwarf Fortress-like gameplay. I'll link to it in the description of this video as well if you would like to check it out on GitHub. But until then, and until next time, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.